As you no doubt gathered by the title of the video, this is going to be the first in a series of videos that I do about the various Marshall amp models in the Axe-FX 3. And the way that I want to structure it is to kind of follow the timeline of actual Marshall amplifiers. So we're going to go all the way back to the sort of JTM45 Bluesbreaker era, and through a series of videos we'll end up with some of the modern tones as well as some of the non-Marshall branded Marshall style circuits in there, like the Friedmans and the Cameron amps. But I want to go back and pull a couple of tones using the JTM45 model in the Axe-FX 3. So there are actually 3 different JTM45 models in there. We have a model of the high treble channel, which would be like your high gain input, which has a bright cap, the normal channel, no bright cap, and then the infamous jumpered mode. So these amps had 4 inputs and you could jumper 2 of them to essentially get a blend of the high treble and the normal channel. And that is the amp model that I'm going to be using here. So I'm going to start with the stock settings, everything at noon. To start with, I'm going to go for like a Bluesbreaker combo kind of tone, and I'm using this 2x12 Brit Small shot with a 57. This is a factory impulse. I think it sounds pretty good. All I will do is go into the preamp section and chuck a bit of low cut on there, and then I'm running this into a bit of the London plate reverb for a bit of ambience. So you get your Les Paul style guitar. This is an STR LJ1 made in Japan. Fantastic instrument. I've got some pickups made by a local guy here in Perth, Martin A. Smith. It is a PF style humbucker and a P90 style. Well, it's obviously not a P90 because it's in a humbucker mount, but I guess what you could call a H90 maybe. And it sounds really cool. So if you're going for that Clapton Bluesbreakers kind of tone, which is like ground zero in great guitar tones, great Marshall tones anyway, and you just sort of start at the stock settings on your bridge pickup, it's a little bit underwhelming. You know, you've got this thing happening. Which isn't fantastic. So if we want to go for that Clapton-y kind of sound, you want to pull a little bit of that bass out. And in general, with all of the sort of JTM45 Plexi models, you want to pull bass out and boost mids and treble. But if we're going for that kind of thing, you don't want to pull too much bass out, because his tone on that John Mayall Bluesbreakers album, you know, it's pretty creamy sounding. See what I did there? What we're going to do for the Clapton thing, just crank treble drive, leave normal drive where it is, you know, push the mids and the treble. Again, he was breaking all the rules when he was doing this, so don't be afraid to really crank controls with this. And you get this kind of thing happening. Which is pretty awesome. I could pull the bass down, say to about 9 o'clock, and just take mids and treble all the way up, and we get this. But I feel like I'm kind of overdoing the mid-range in the treble there, so about 1 or 2 o'clock seems to be the thing for that Clapton era kind of thing. You can also play around with the presence control as well. In general, on Marshalls, I like it at about 1 o'clock. And if you're going for an era-appropriate tone, don't be afraid to crank the reverb. There's loads of plate reverb. I'm assuming it's plate reverb on this recording. This gets you a little bit closer again. Have a listen to this. That's really nice. And of course, the great thing about these amps, as with all of these vintage Marshalls, they clean up great with your volume control. Say if I'm on the neck pickup and I set the volume control, say to about, well, let's say we'll start at 4, you get a really nice edge of breakup clean. impulse there is a really important part of that particular tone. As I was saying, for the sort of early Clapton thing, you want an impulse of a smaller cabinet. If we swap over to a bigger 412 cabinet, I'm going to go on this channel. I've actually got, we'll use this. This is a new cab pack that's come out through Fractal Audio by ML, based around some pre-roller Celestians, which is pretty cool. This is the all mix, and you'll hear immediately how different this sounds. The low end response is different, the high end response is different. It sounds like a different amp. So that's pretty cool. And then I have shot some, I actually own a JTM45 and the matching TV cab, and I've shot some impulses of that cab. This is what my IIs sound like. They're more aggressive again. And that can give you, I guess, a lot of those 60s blues rock kind of tones. Using your volume control as well, you've got, you don't really need a pedal, but if you were to use a pedal, you could use something like a treble booster, and that is going to give you, it's going to make this amp go absolutely crazy. So we're playing around with a treble booster, the one which seems to work the best. Let's see, we'll just use the treble boost block. And I'll turn the drive down a little bit, but I'll turn the level up, and we get this. This is awesome. The nice thing about a treble booster is going to cut out some of that flubby low end and really push the mids. And the nice thing about most treble boosters anyway, they still play nice with the volume control. So if I go to the neck pickup, volume right down. And that is really, really awesome. That's a genuine reaction right there. I love the way that sounds on the neck pickup there. So that's using a treble booster. Another kind of, so I focused a lot on that kind of blues breaker era thing, the stuff that was happening, I guess, in the UK during the 60s. But another classic JTM45 tone to me is early AC/DC. And if you want to get that kind of sound, this is what I would do. I will leave the treble booster off. I'll stick with this 412 cab that I've got going. But what I'm going to do is turn the normal drive right down, not right down, say just below 9 o'clock, and we'll take the treble drive about halfway and bass all the way off, middle, treble, cranked, turn the presence up a little bit, and this immediately gets you Angus Young territory. And I'm talking about like Power Rage era AC/DC here, you know, before all the Mutt Lange stuff. One super cool trick is if you want to cop Angus's, you know, the old, I think now there's a guy called Solo Dallas who makes a replica of his wireless system. Just get 2 compressor blocks, go into Dynamics, set 1 to -1, and what I'll do is I will copy that. I might have this the wrong way around, so apologies if that's the case. And then the other one to +1, and you get this. one feels really, really good to have a bit of a riff away with. Again, cleans up really nicely with the guitar volume and stuff like that. I'm going to swap over to a Strat really quickly before we wrap up talking about this model. And I think the JTM45 is super underrated as a clean amp, so I'll dial in some clean sounds with my Strat. So same settings that we had there sound like this on the neck pickup. Which is pretty nice. All I would do is dial in a bit of bass and bring the treble back, because I want to be able to play on the bridge pickup on my Strat neck. And if you smash a treble booster into that, you get this. Which is pretty cool. It's a bit clangy sounding, so obviously we want to do the Hendrix thing next, right? So we'll just chuck a fuzz face in front of that. And there is the worst version of Red House that you will hear today. You can really, really go nuts with this. What I would suggest is add some normal drive as well. Add some more drive with the fuzz face for some of the wilder Hendrix stuff. It's a good thing I broke this series of videos up into many parts, because I could go on like this for days, and I've only touched the JTM45 jumpered model. That ML Impulse sounds really, really good, so I like that. There's another free IR I really dig as well. This is by Justin York, who does the York audio stuff. I believe this is based on a Park cabinet with Sennheiser E906 and a KSM 313. You get this. as I said earlier, an amazing amp for clean sound. So that to me sort of covers what I want out of a JTM 45. I want to be able to do the Clapton thing, I want to be able to do the Hendrix thing, I want to be able to do the AC/DC thing, and I also want those Fendery kind of cleans, because remember, these amps were essentially a basement circuit. And playing around with different IRs, different guitars, and different boosts, as well as using your volume and tone controls, I could sit here and play all day with these amps. They're really, really amazing sounding. So that's part one of my look at all the Marshall amps in the Axe FX3. Next time we're going to have a look at the Plexi models, and we're going to use a lot of the same tricks, so bass, low, middle, and treble high. But those amps have a different character going on. So the JTM 45 had a tube rectifier, that's why you're getting all that kind of sag in there. The Plexis are more aggressive, tighter, more towards that kind of classic Marshall rock sound that we all associate Marshalls with, as opposed to these really sweet, you know, kind of bluesy tones that also serve as a great pedal platform. So there you go. If you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe, because there's going to be more of these coming. I would love to know suggestions or any requests that you guys have. And if you're using this model, let me know how you like to set it and which IR you like. And otherwise, cheers for tuning in. See you around.